subscribe to me.
Brian the King here, and today I wanted to talk about Borderlands 4 and what I think Borderlands 4 needs. This will be my personal take on it, okay? So don't get offended about anything. But yeah, with that out of the way, I might as well go ahead and start with number one. Okay, with number one, I think we should have a pirate that can summon a cannon, because why not, and if it's going to be a timeline story where there's going to be different timelines and everything, I think this will be perfect, to add a doesn't really matter the gender, actually. It doesn't really matter the gender of the pirate, and while we're at it, we might as well add a feature to our characters where we can make them where we can make them to where they have whatever gender that suits our needs, and I think that would be perfect to have that feature in there in Borderlands 4, because it's 2024. We should be able to choose the gender of our Vault Hunters, and I know that might complicate things in terms of Borderlands 4 canon and all that, but I think we should be able to do that, no less. Okay, and I think that having a pirate in the story of possibly a timeline thing would be absolutely perfect. And I love cannons, so that'd be one of my personal favorite characters. Okay, and for another idea I had in characters, what about a Goliath, Why don't we have like a Goliath? Because we never seen a Goliath in a Borderlands 4 game before. And wait, you guys know what I mean. We never seen a Vault Hunter that's been a Goliath, is what I mean. What I want to see personally is a very, very ancient Goliath, okay? One of the first Goliaths that has ever been around, And I want to see this Goliath have like some kind of powerful ability. Maybe it can be a Goliath, an ancient Goliath, one of the ancient Goliaths that became a clan of the first Goliaths, for example, because we know they have clans and everything like that. So why don't we make that canon, and why don't we make a Vault Hunter, a Goliath, it'd just be perfect. And if we're going to go with the whole timeline thing, I don't know if this is if it will be timeline or not, a timeline story or not, but either way though, that would be absolutely perfect, and I feel that a lot of people agree. And a pirate and Goliath right there, two characters that people would love to see, I guarantee it, because the pirate can obviously be like the commando, and then the Goliath can be our melee character with some other special abilities added, to spice things up a bit, because an ancient Goliath is bound to have, powerful abilities, especially one that is a leader of a clan, if they wanted to do that. And but my third idea I had is, why don't we add a bandit character, okay? Maybe a female bandit character, for example. Make that canon, where it was the very first bandit that was abandoned by one of the corporations. Why don't we make it like that? One of the bandits that was abandoned on Pandora, one of the first bandits that was abandoned on Pandora. And why don't we make it to where they're a huge part of the story, of the actual game story? We should add that for all the characters, actually. Why don't we make it to where they're all canon and a part of the story, and add their stories into the story, and it shows whoever you're playing as a part of the story, even if you're playing for co-op. It should show every Vault Hunter story that's in the story, and their takes on the story and stuff like that, and then interacting in the story. We shouldn't feel like side characters in Borderlands 4. This is Borderlands 4 for crying out loud, you know? Um, okay. And for the bandit's action skill, I don't know what his action skill would be. Not too certain. It honestly doesn't matter, you know. Why don't we have it to where like he's like or he or she is like maybe he summons down a flag or something, or sticks a flag in the ground, a bandit flag, and you know, and it gives him a bunch of power and his allies a bunch of power, something like that. You know, just something like that, you know. But either way, I just want to see those three in particular. And for the fourth, I don't know if I have a fourth, you know. I'd like to see a male siren. I'd love to see a male siren, like we did with the twins. That would be amazing. But with all that out of the way, I think I, you know, made my point with the characters that I want to see. That's my personal opinion, guys, though. But I'm sure you guys will love it. And let me know if you guys do, okay? Okay. Now for number 2. I want to see the old Borderlands 2 art style back. Because it has so much nostalgia. And it would mix well with the number 1 on this list. It would just be perfect. I feel like that's what people want. They don't really care about the new generation's art style and all that. You know, I don't really think people care all that much about it. I think that people want to see Borderlands 2 art style. I personally do, at least. And I'm tired of all the new games, you know, not having the art style that Borderlands 2 has, because Borderlands 2 is like the center of the franchise. It's their foundation, so they should keep, you know, Borderlands 2 art style and improve on the art style, you know. I think that would be just so beautiful. So many people would love it. So many people want it, you know. Myself included, you know. And I just don't know why they never listen to the fans when it comes to this. Especially. Like, it's just... I can make a whole new video on it, you know, of Borderlands 2 art style and how they don't listen, you know, etc., etc. But I think that's pretty much all I had to say for number 2. You know, I have a bunch to say about Borderlands 2 art style. It's so beautiful, so nostalgic. But I should probably get on with number 3, or else we're going to be here all day, guys. Now moving on to number 3. We want new rarity types. We as a people, we want and we need a new rarity type. Okay, we have pearlescence, and then the other one, the purple one, I do believe is purplish, something like that. I can't pronounce his name, guys. Sorry, I have a bit of a speech disorder, so I can't pronounce the name, especially something with an S. But you know, we want something above all the rarity types that we have. And I know a lot of people agree with this. We want something that we can truly grind for, but something that's worth grinding for, okay? We want something that's balanced. We don't want something that is too overpowered, but we want something that feels like it actually has a part in the game, if you guys know what I mean. And I'm sure you guys do know what I mean. And so, you know, that's a huge point on this whole list here, is we want a new rarity. And maybe it doesn't really matter what color it is, honestly, but maybe it can be something, maybe it can have like a new color text to it as well. I don't really care for the rainbow rarity, honestly. It's fine. But maybe we can get something like green, for example. I don't know, but that was already done in pre-sequel as well, so I don't know. But we need something. We need something new. In fact, bringing back the coded weapons as a new rarity would be a super important thing in Borderlands 4, I think, as well, because that, you know, a lot of people love the coded weapons, you know, not that I'm thinking about it, but either way, we need two new rarities, you know, at least, that we can grind to, and that people in the future will respect and love. But, you know, I could talk all day about this, about number 3 here as well, but I'm not going to. I'm probably gonna just move on to number 4, because I can make a whole new video on that, talking about the new rarity types, what there could be, you know, etc. alone. But yeah. Okay, for number 4, what we want and what we need is a new gun mix feature. What do I mean by that? We should be able to mix legendary and high rarity items together. Okay, we should be able to mix them together and make a completely new gun. That's what I mean by that. Or item, actually. Doesn't really matter which. But you guys get my drift here. We should be able to take 2 red text guns or weapons or items, and we should be able to mix them together and make them into one completely new item. And it should have a new name and everything. I know their corporation would be able to do this and add it into the game. I mean, come on, they're a multi-million-dollar company. They should be able to do something like this. It's not that complicated if you think about it. In fact, there's games out there that already had this in place, this system, this feature in place. So they should be able to do it as well. Even though Borderlands, it might get a little bit complicated there with Borderlands, because Borderlands is Borderlands, but still, I think that we should be able to do that in Borderlands 4. If they really want it to be the greatest game of all time, we should be able to mix weapons and items together. Even like, let's say, a gun and a grenade, we should be able to mix them together. I mean, why not? You know, it's going to be Borderlands 4. We need something crazy. We need something new for Borderlands 4. And I think that people would absolutely go crazy for a system like that. And people would be hopping on the Borderlands 4 wagon like nothing, you know, if only they had something like that. But I don't know if they're going to listen to my idea here. Probably not, because they never do. But hopefully other YouTubers that see this can give me a shout out and, you know, say, and pretty much say my idea to others as well, to get the picture of what I'm trying to say here along, hopefully. But I really do think if we added that feature in there, Borderlands 4 would be one step closer to being the best next game. And that's what we truly need. But I'm going to move on to number 5 now. Okay, for number 4, what we want and what we need is a new gun mix feature. What do I mean by that? We should be able to mix legendary and high rarity items together. Okay, we should be able to mix them together and make a completely new gun. That's what I mean by that. Or item, actually. Doesn't really matter which. But you guys get my drift here. We should be able to take 2 red text guns or weapons or items, and we should be able to mix them together and make them into one completely new item. And it should have a new name and everything. I know their corporation would be able to do this and add it into the game. I mean, come on, they're a multi-million-dollar company. They should be able to do something like this. It's not that complicated if you think about it. In fact, there's games out there that already had this in place, this system, this feature in place. So they should be able to do it as well. Even though Borderlands, it might get a little bit complicated there with Borderlands, because Borderlands is Borderlands, but still, I think that we should be able to do that in Borderlands 4. If they really want it to be the greatest game of all time, we should be able to mix weapons and items together. Even like, let's say a gun and a grenade, we should be able to mix them together. I mean, why not? You know, it's gonna be Borderlands 4. We need something crazy. We need something new for Borderlands 4. And I think that people would absolutely go crazy for a system like that. And people would be hopping on the Borderlands 4 wagon like nothing, you know, if only they had something like that. But I don't know if they're going to listen to my idea here. Probably not, because they never do. But hopefully other YouTubers that see this can give me a shout out and, you know, say and pretty much say my idea to others as well to get the picture of what I'm trying to say here along, hopefully. But I really do think if we added that feature in there, Borderlands 4 would be one step closer to being the best next game. And that's what we truly need. But I'm gonna move on to number 5 now. Moving on to number 5, we need story Vault Hunter villains. I know I already alluded to the fact before on here, but now I'm going to talk about it completely. Maybe not completely, but as much as I can. In terms of the story, you know. In terms of the story, we want to see story Vault Hunter villains. You know what I mean? I just think that would be an incredible contrast to every other Borderlands story. You know, we never seen Vault Hunters that were villains, except for in Borderlands 2. We had Captain Scarlet, and I think in some other DLCs we get some, I do believe, some Vault Hunter villains. Maybe one more besides Captain Scarlet, but I'm not entirely sure, okay? Now, with this in mind, we should have their stories fleshed out into the story, obviously, and maybe we can have them serve a higher villain that then, you know, we can have their story on why they stopped Vault Huntering, or if they did, you know, those who did, those who didn't, you know, and we can get maybe a Vault Hunter that eventually betrays the higher villain and the villain group, the Vault Hunter villain group, to come to our side, and then we can have a whole like tragic thing there, you know, in its own. I think that would be fantastic if we had something like that. Now there isn't really much I can add to number 5, but you guys get the picture I'm trying to paint here, okay? It'd be so beautiful if we had and so excellent for Borderlands 4 if we had something completely different, if we seen Vault Hunters as villains, because as we know, 9 times out of 10 they're not really good people to begin with. You know, we got Moxie. She's not really a Vault Hunter, but she's still, or is she considered a Vault Hunter? No, I never considered that. I don't think she is, because she doesn't go Vault hunting, but she is like, she's considered, you know, like a good guy, a good person in the game, but in actual fact, you see through Handsome Jack, she's not really the greatest person. So there's that, you know, there's a dynamic, there's a twist to the story, and we've seen that Vault Hunters aren't always the greatest people, and that they're not always the heroes, as Jack alluded to before, you know. So I think that'd be great to see Vault Hunter villains. It would just make sense, you know. It would actually make sense. Like they sort of did that with the twins, but they're not really Vault Hunters. Like they're not really Vault Hunters. They wasn't really in the game, not necessarily. You know, there wasn't really in the game of Vault hunting. They just was doing it for power. Vault Hunters are people that, I guess they do it for power and stuff like that. Yes, but they do it for like for personal reasons as well. I mean, I guess you could argue that the twins were as well. Yes, but they were trying to become a god. Now, vault hunters, they usually aren't typically that ambitious, not that I know of at least. So, with that out of the way, I think I made my point with number 5. I don't think I need to continue with, on with number 5. So with that out of the way, I'm going to start here with number 6. Moving on to number 6, we need balanced loot. And I cannot stress that enough. We as a community cannot stress that enough. As I alluded to before, Borderlands 3 has too much of a legendary drop. And then Borderlands 2 has too little of a legendary drop. And that's just, it's not right, What we need is a balance in between. So that way we can have perfect loot drops all the time, We shouldn't have to, in Borderlands 2, like, we get too little drops. But there are times, though, where it's completely balanced. They need to find that in Borderlands 2, and fix it, where we have completely balanced loot. Because that's what people probably want the most in Borderlands 4. Mayhaps. When it comes to the guns, I feel that, people want balanced loot. I know for a fact people want balanced loot. I have friends in the community that are always talking about, how they want balanced loot and how that's so important to them. And, when it's not balanced, it just feels so unfair. And when it's dropping like candy, it doesn't feel rewarding. Like, I had people, myself included, that just stopped playing Borderlands 3 because of that. Because it ain't right, But when you get to the end game, at least, they drop like candy, and I don't like that. It don't feel rewarding anymore. It just feels like you're being handed. Feels like you're being handed something, and they should go back and fix that in their games as well. But as oftentimes, they don't usually listen to the people. But yeah, what we want the most in terms of guns, I do believe myself, is balanced loot. So that is number 6. I don't think I really need to talk too much more about number 6. People get my drift here. People will know what I'm saying here, So I don't really think there's much more that I need to comment on. But if you guys understand this, then we'll be moving on to number 7. Moving on to number 7. On the number 7 list, we have Flyable Vehicles. We as a community and we as a player should be able to fly vehicles in Borderlands 4. We waited so long when we've been telling them we want flyable vehicles. They gave us pre-sickle and whatever the hell that thing was. The thing that flies up in the air for like 7 seconds and then it goes down on the ground. It was cool for that one mission that they showed it off, and then you never use it again. Like, it's just unbelievable how much they troll their people, how much they think it's funny, And we've been telling them for years that we want flyable vehicles. So I think now, for me, it's a must. We must have flyable vehicles for Borderlands 4. This Borderlands 4 isn't going to be no joke. It's going to be the game that makes or breaks Borderlands franchise. At least that's what people are saying. And in some degrees, I agree with them. In some terms, I agree with them. Okay, but we gotta have flyable vehicles. Okay, there's no way that this multi-million-dollar company cannot arrange for people to be able to fly vehicles, and it wouldn't even have to be that far. Okay, just like maybe for a couple of missions. And of course we want to be able to fly our vehicles, like we want to have flyable vehicles, okay, throughout the entire game, but even if they add it just for one map, it would be excellent, where we could have people with co-op that can sit out on the side, and then we can just have it like go through the whole map, or maybe like most of the map, whatever. It would just be amazing. And we need it. We truly need it for Borderlands 4. If Borderlands 4 is going to be the make it, break it, I don't see why they shouldn't pull out all the stops. You know? And I don't want to talk too much about the whole flyable vehicle thing, because I know it's probably not going to be a reality, because they usually never listen to us as a community for some reason. But I think it would just be so excellent, so great if they listen to us and put in flyable vehicles. But I think I made my point for the flyable vehicle scenario. And I think we should get on with number 8. Okay, for number 8, we need craftable guns. As a community, it would make Borderlands 4 the greatest Borderlands game in the entire franchise. I truly believe that. If we added craftable guns, okay, if we was able to disassemble a gun and reassemble it with the part, if we could be able to take the good parts and put in the good parts to a weapon, and then be able to maybe sell the disassembled parts for maybe like I don't know, money or some kind of something else that's valuable to the bow hunter, that'd be excellent, you know? That'd be amazing. Maybe we can have a system, a machine, where we sell our unused parts for like for more parts. You know, we can have like some kind of system there where we sell it for more parts, and we can get new weapon parts to craft on our weapons, and then we'll be able to get different skins as well. I think that would be amazing if we was able to add that into the game, and that's something that we truly need for Borderlands 4. We need to be able to have craftable guns, and a machine, dude, they can make something that simple, okay? They can certainly make something that simple, like to make a machine where we are able to disassemble our gun and make a new one, or take parts off of the old gun and add it to our gun. Maybe we can take red Texas and fuse it together with our gun through here, through this little machine, craftable machine as well, as I have already mentioned. And let me see here. In number 4, you know, we should be able to mix our guns together, but we should also be able to craft them as well. We should be able to craft our items together and mix them as well, maybe through a simple machine, you know, where we maybe Marcus can be in control of it or something like that, you know. It can be like in front of him or something like that, and we should be able to do something like that where we're able to craft weapons, deassemble them, and maybe add like an element as well to them. Mix the elements together to make a new one, perhaps. And you know, the list can go on and on. We should be able to be able to do that, though. We should be able to craft our own gun. We should be able to make our own gun. Customize it. We should be able to customize our legendary guns the way we want to, and not just like, oh, you can push, you know, put a couple of parts on there and then, you know, there you go. We should be able to have everything customizable: the grip, the interface, you know, all of it, the stock. We should be able to do that for all of them, and maybe we can get the parts from like certain bosses, you know. We should be able to up Borderlands 4 and make the Borderlands franchise a hit like it was back in the past. And I think craftable weapons would make people go wow. Maybe it's just me, but you know, if we have like somewhere where we can get certain stocks, somewhere like bosses that sometimes rarely drop, like certain grips, you know, certain legendary grips that have like red text that can fuse with our guns, etc. You know, elements, you know, that would just be so amazing. And that's my idea that I had, you know, for craftable guns. And I know that people said craftable guns before, but I'm adding new elements to it. So this isn't an original idea. People in the community have already talked about how they want craftable guns, I do believe, ages ago. But I'm adding, you know, new elements to it. Why don't we have like where we can add elements and maybe red text that can fuse with the gun, you know? Why don't we do something like that? That would make Borderlands 4 such an excellent game. You know, a cut above the rest. And they just followed that idea. This idea alone would make Borderlands 4 happen. It would make Borderlands 4 the greatest game in the franchise, and I can guarantee it, you know. But of course they're not going to listen to us because we're the community. Why would they, right? They're going to listen to all these woke writers, you know, that make terrible stories, by the way. But I ain't going to have, you know, a little rant here. I think I said enough about number 8. We should move on to number 9. Number 9 is like a dime. Nah, I'm just kidding, guys. It's a reference to a YouTuber that I like. But seriously though, with number 9, I think we should have Handsome Jack's son as a villain. Now we know how Handsome Jack, he's always going on about how he looks good and stuff like this, and he obviously had relationships with Makx and some other people too that we know of, and I'm sure he had flings, you know, I'm sure of it. He was a high you know, he owned a company, like a corporation. He owned one of the great corporations. He owned Hyperion, so it's not too far-fetched to say that he would have at least a couple sons out there. So, you know, I think that if we added Handsome Jack's son in Borderlands 4, it would be excellent, you know? It would be truly great. Now, I know maybe they had some plans of putting an alternate version of Jack. That would work too. But we need Handsome Jack's son sometime later down the line, you know? I'm sure he had flings, you know? And I don't see why Handsome Jack, a person like a Handsome Jack, wouldn't have, you know, relationships with, you know, many other women. It's never really alluded to the fact that it sort of is alluded to the fact that he has, but, you know, since he's been married and everything, like, a couple times before, maybe we can just get that his wife ran off because she was pregnant, his other wife maybe, and, you know, she's seen how Handsome Jack was becoming and stuff like that. Maybe we can get a story like that, mayhaps. And or maybe we can have Handsome Jack's daughter, another daughter of Handsome Jack's, maybe, you know, and a whole story about that. Why don't we have that? But what I want to focus on is Handsome Jack's son. Why don't we have a story where, you know, for Borderlands 4, or maybe in the future, this is just an idea pretty much, but, you know, for Borderlands 4, I'm talking about Borderlands 4 as well, because this is what the video is revolved around. Why don't we have it where, you know, he has a son in Borderlands 4 that grew up, and if it's not a timeline thing, it might be a timeline thing, as I said at the beginning of this video. They're talking about how it might be a timeline thing, so it might just be an alternate version of Jack. But what I think that Vault sign and the person behind it could be Handsome Jack's son, possibly. Maybe in an alternate universe he had a son instead of a daughter or something like that, you know? I think that would be excellent. That would be a very good choice for them, and we need to, you know, we would like to have a backstory on that. That would be perfect for an alternate timeline, right there for you. But I think sometime, you know, sometime along, okay, sometime in the near future, okay, in this franchise, whether it be Borderlands 4 or beyond, we need Handsome Jack to have a son or an extra daughter, and we need to have them as perhaps as villains that took over the Hyperion network secretly or something like that, you know, the corporation secretly, or was hidden away and came back and forged their own company like Hyperion but better. We need to have something like that, okay, where maybe they traverse the universe and sit low for a while, and they gathered up creatures and the other like enemy vault hunters that are villains, and they come back to Pandora or wherever, you know, we be stationed at, whatever planet, and they start attacking out of nowhere. We need to have a story like that, something like that, you know, because with the way the story has been going so far, we haven't had any mention of Handsome Jack's son or any of his, you know, any of his relatives for that matter, except for, of course, his daughter. And but the way I see it, okay, is him being a leader of a corporation. I don't understand how they haven't thought of this yet. You know, Handsome Jack's son should be out there, or Handsome Jack's other daughter should be out there. You know, and especially if they have a whole timeline thing, they're probably just going to go with an alternate version of Jack. But why don't they instead have Handsome Jack's son, maybe, instead of a daughter, you know, something like that. But yeah, that's my idea for number 9. I hope you guys really like this one, and if you do, share this video. Alright, we're moving on to number 10. Actually, I had something else to add on to number 9. Instead of them being villains, perhaps they can be playable vault hunters, you know? Perhaps we can have one of his daughters, you know, say that he had one. Say that he had a twins, an extra set of twins, you know, or something like that. For an example, okay. And maybe they could be playable vault hunters, a daughter and a son of his, something like that, you know. That I think that would be an excellent idea, you know, and to turn them into sort of sympathetic characters would be a good idea on Gearbox's or whoever runs the show now of the Borderlands franchise. I think that'd be a very wise decision to do that, to turn them into sympathetic people and into vault hunters, or maybe they can be part of the story at least. You know, I think that'd be a fantastic idea if they don't destroy the idea, okay? They're kind of notorious for throwing good ideas in the trash nowadays, but still, you know, I think that'd be a very excellent idea and very wise on their decision to either turn them to villains or to have them as playable characters. That's what I want to see, alright? And I'm pretty sure that's what other people would like to see as well. I'm pretty sure that not many people have given it much thought. I'm sure there's some people out there that has, but none that I have came across yet. You know, I think that'd be an excellent idea and something they should definitely do. Okay, now seriously, we're going to be moving on to number 10. Now, going on to number 10. Last but not least, give us more warlike missions, okay? Give us missions like some, okay, like for example, on Borderlands 3, we had some missions where we had, you know, there are a few of them, but where we were like, where it actually felt like we was going to war and we had some allies on our side. But give us better war missions, okay? Give us better allies, okay? Like for example, have us have like a final war at least once, okay? At least once. And have us had side missions like this as well, where we have like almost warlike missions, okay? Where we'll be going into war with a bunch of allies. They're running down a hill or something, and you know, we have all these people with guns and our allies and vault hunters, etc. And and they be you know, pulling out all the stops, and our enemy be pulling out all the stops. Let us have a war like that. Let us have side missions like that, where we have allies on our side, but also a bunch of enemies, like you know, more enemies on their side, but at least like a handful of allies on ours, and let us like have a war, you know. Let us go have at it. Let us have a side mission at least, or a story mission like that. Like, let us have something like that at least once, you know. We want more warlike missions like that, because I do anyways. This is more of a personal thing than it will be for others, but I just feel that it'd be so excellent in Borderlands if we had something like this. Maybe we can have someone that rounds up a bunch of like pet allies, like skag allies or something, and we fight a bunch of bandits, you know. Give us missions like that, like the wildlife mission that we had in Borderlands 2. Give us more missions like that, where we be freeing animals and they attack with us. You know, that was fun. That was some of the funnest missions I've ever played in Borderlands franchise as a whole. Give us more missions like that. I want to see more things like that. That's just my personal opinion, but I love more missions like that. More missions that just, you know, like, you can remember them forever. Like, missions like that. Like, I'm just thinking about the wildlife mission right now, and it's just, it was amazing. I can still remember it till this day, you know. The exact details and all. It was amazing. We need more missions like that. And I think that is very important for the Borderlands franchise, to have more playable missions like that. But I think that might be all for number 10, and this will be the last of the video. So if you guys did like this one, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and definitely share this. Share this to Hellfire, share this to Joe Student, share this to all the big Borderlands community people that are out there, and let me know what they think, if you would, for me, please. And also, I'd like a shout out if I can get one too. You know, it's you know, becoming a Borderlands, you know, becoming someone that speaks for Borderlands, it's gonna take a while to, you know, to gain respect, you know, but a shout out would be nice and a good start. But anyways, if you guys did like this one, you know, as always, subscribe, and like I said, share, comment, like, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.